All right, wake up out there. Wake up out there. Is there any life in Magaland? MAGA. Is there life in Magaland? MAGA. Tutti Frutti. It's not a homophobic song, is it? Because we may have to break that record. Welcome to the Savage Nation Monday edition. This is the post-Father's Day Blues edition. And today we're going to talk about a number of things, including Father's Day for a minute or two. Don't get frightened if you are not a father. If you were hatched in a test tube, I do not mean to offend you. The show is meant for all. It's very inclusive. The Savage Nation is a very inclusive show meant for all peoples, two different things. And whatever kind of people you are, you're welcome to listen. If you're a buffalo or a bison, it doesn't matter to me. If you're AC/DC or foot power, it doesn't matter to me. As long as you're listening to the Savage Nation, you're in good shape. So let's begin at the beginning. Play the song I was going to open with, but I figured if I actually open with what I was listening to this morning with my dog Teddy, there'd be a minimum of 30 suicides in America. So here is what I was going to open with, and I'll tell you why I didn't after I opened with it a second time on the Savage Nation. That's when it should be hit, but since we don't have the timing that I need, we just keep talking and lobbying my own show. Eventually, the finger finds the button that needs to be found. Raise it loud, though. Please take the smelling salts. I was going to open with this, honest to God. And I'll tell you why. Then I'll tell you why I didn't. I want you to listen to it for 1 minute. 30 seconds straight. Your mind will be so harmonious. Great European-American music? No, great European music. You know who this is, don't you? Mozart, European, white, male, composer. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, I listen to jazz too, but listen to this. Listen. Now, I'll tell you why I played it. Listen to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. You hear? Just count. 1, 2. I was trying to teach somebody this weekend. Let's say you're distressed. Now you could turn it off. Let's say you're distressed by life and you can't watch Fox News anymore. You can't watch CNN. You can't watch NBC. You can't watch it anymore. Your mind is just shattered. It just can't take it. It's so scattered. Nothing makes sense anymore. And there's so much hatred out there. So if you go back to the classical music, I said, and you listen to Mozart, for example, concerto for, this is the trumpet horn concertos. And you listen to it, and you force yourself just for 30 straight minutes to listen to this. You know what happens is your mind becomes more harmonious. And then I told my friend, I said, back in the 1980s, I was awarded the Japan Creativity Society Award. Yes, it's a fact. You won't find it anywhere. And I was invited to Japan to give a speech on Alzheimer's and aluminum back in the 1980s, which I did. But a good friend of mine, the Japanese gentleman who invited me, the head of the Japan Creativity Society, said to me, he starts each day by listening, he does, to German marching music. No, not Nazi. German and Nazi are not synonymous any more than America and Marxism is synonymous. He listened to German marching music every morning, and I said, why? He said it puts his mind in order, and it makes him think clearly all day long. You try it, see if it doesn't help you. So then I decided I shouldn't open with that because many of you would be depressed, frightened, sad, lonely, anguished. You wouldn't hear MAGA. You wouldn't know which way to turn. It didn't have enough patriotism in it. It didn't attack Mueller. It didn't attack Rugenstein. It didn't attack Husenstein. It didn't attack Musenstein. It didn't attack my Stein, your Stein, his Stein, their Stein. All aboard to the Savage Nation. So instead I decided to play Tutti Frutti. So this Father's Day was Saturday, and I dropped my Twitter feed this morning as it relates to Father's Day, and you'll find out why. I'm also going to talk about, by the way, look, this is not the voice of America. This is not the voice of Trump. This is not the voice of Marx. If you want VOM, the voice of Marx, go to NPR or any typical radio channel. Go to Voice of M, VOM. You want the voice of Trump? Don't tune into this show. Not the voice of Trump. Okay? I am not a tool of the government. I never have been, never will be. It doesn't mean I don't support him. I help put him in power. I want to keep him in power, but I'm not the voice of Trump. There are those who now spend 3 hours a day in between live reads and ads and news and breaks and traffic and report on it. It's the voice of Trump. Not what radio's supposed to be, sorry. I realize that the media has become the voice of anti-Trump, but it's not supposed to be that either. That doesn't mean I have to go along with the program does. So it's summertime. You know it's the 18th of June, 2018. Do you know what that means? It means if I try to remember what life was like before radio. I try to remember what life was like when I was a child. I try to remember what life was like when I was a normal human being, let us say as an older teenager. So mid-June, where would I'd be thinking about, well, college is out, let's say. I'd be going on a vacation, I worked for 10, 12 weeks in order to make the money to go to college. But a normal person would be thinking about a vacation. But since I've never been a normal person, I can't think about a vacation, so welcome to the Savage Nation. But it did make me think about this. Is there a summer camp for conservative adults? Because I was searching over the weekend. In my idealized camp, it would be somewhere in, I don't know, let's say Montana, Utah, Idaho, like the last bastions of America. And there'll be some summer camp run by some ex-military people, men, women. And it would be a summer camp where it's communal meals, healthful food, no television, absolutely no television. There'd have to be a bar on the premises. It would have to have alcohol or I'm not going. I'm not a Muslim. So let me be very clear. It was summer vacation, healthy or not, I want a bar on that property. Even if it's only wine and beer, it has to be a bar in the thing. That's number one. A pizza oven wouldn't hurt either. You could make a good pizza. So let's say it's a kind of rustic camp, but you have private rooms, private cottages with bathrooms, not sharing. Conservative, liberal. I don't need ringworm. I don't need STDs. No shared bathrooms. Thank you very much. So I'm looking for such a place where it has bungalows, cottages, communal dining room. If I even want to risk that, that's also risky unto itself. And let's say on the conservative summer camp for conservative adults, you have rifle practice, pistol practice, fending off liberal scum practice, jiu-jitsu for the conservative-minded individual who wants to beat off the masses as they attack them for expressing their American right to express. So if you know of such a place, give us a call at 855-407-282. Well, now that I've got you listening, let me go back to some of the other topics I'm going to be covering today. A professor, so-called, at the University of Connecticut, who was retired this past year, made students say Allah, praise Allah, as they walked into his office and removed their shoes. The Muslim convert, retired bio prof Felix Coe, taped 2 signs outside his office requiring students to say an Arabic phrase meaning in the name of Allah before you went in his office. Listen to this. And visitors to the Muslim's office had to remove their shoes. Now, I have nothing against Allah or removing shoes. However, this is a public place. What if a Christian simply even had a Bible on his desk and some snowflake went in and said, I saw a Bible on his desk with a cross on it? They'd fire him, wouldn't they? Well, this piece of garbage, Mr. Coe, said to a student, I'm a Muslim. You don't come into my office with dirty shoes. After he told her to get the hell out. A woman now, a girl. He says, I don't want to see you for wearing shoes in my office. We have the audio clip released by Jihad Watch on michaelsavage.com. When asked by 2 other students why he required students to say Allah be praised and take their shoes off at a public university, this Professor Coe said, because I'm a Muslim. Now, let me say this. I have no problem with removing shoes. In fact, I prefer to remove my shoes when I enter my house, but it's my house. I once had a dumb friend who was never very smart. He thought he was smart. That type. The worst type there are the ones who think they're smart and really aren't. And it was because his grandfather had achieved something that he never could even aspire to. It was sad. He was a nice guy, but something was wrong with him. He was a very heavy pot smoker, then a drug user. Then he became a doctor. Well, after he became a doctor, he would wear the greens into my house to show me he was a doctor. I understand he was proud of it. And I would say, take your shoes off before coming into my house. You just came from the hospital. He said, what? I said, you just came from a hospital. I don't know what's on your shoes. That's stupid. He said, pathogens can't live for this length of time. I said, doctor, you're wrong. Some viruses can live a very long time, kind of on your shoes. I don't want you to wear shoes in the house. So I kind of have a loose rule in my house. I try to remember to take my shoes off. If Muslims want you to take your shoes off, it should be your option in a public office. In a home, it's another story, right? Anyway, this bum retired at full tenure. Professor Coe, a Muslim convert. You know, converts to religion are like ex-prostitutes who become mothers. They're the most fanatical. Now, I don't mean to compare the two, but I'm trying to tell you, I have discovered in my life that the strictest and most difficult mothers on the planet, you ask any kid listening to the show who was raised by one, are the children of ex-wild women. They are the strictest, most miserable mothers on the planet. The children usually rebel and become worse than the mother ever was on the worst days. But that's a separate story for another day. So to make a long story short, that's a topic I intend to talk about at some point today on the Savage Nation. I did not yet get to why I didn't delete but suspended my Twitter account until further notice, which I will tell you about when I return right here on the Savage Nation.